Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new on my channel, then welcome. Can we just appreciate this cap? I think it's super cute. My family members laughed at me big time, but I think it's so sweet. I mean, I know that the H actually stands for Harvard, but to me, it stands for Helen, because I mean, seriously, it's navy blue. It has a huge white H on the front. It called my name. I had to get it. I got it from H&M, by the way, if anyone is interested. I think it's so cute. It's really not my style. I'm not much of a hat person, but this just stood out to me and I knew that I had to get it. I hope you guys like it. And if you don't, then at least you'll get a good laugh out of it. So today's video is going to be a story time video, which I have never done on my channel before. I am not much of a storyteller, at least that's how I feel about myself. I love talking. You guys already know that, and you're probably already used to it as well, because if you weren't, you'd probably have unsubscribed like ages ago already. But since you're still here, that means that, you know, it's no surprise to you. Anyway, I'm going to tell you guys all about my diet, which basically made me lose a substantial amount of weight. I lost about 10 kilos, 9 to 10 kilos, which is about, I don't know, roughly 20 pounds within like 2 months. I briefly mentioned it in my chat to get ready with me, and a few of you guys really wanted to hear the story, how I quit sugar and all that kind of more detailed stuff about the diet. So that is what I'm doing today. Finally, I'm sure you guys are all saying like shut up and get to the point already. So that is what I'm gonna do. Take some snacks, get something to drink, and sit down and relax, and let's get on with the story, shall we? So before I start telling you guys about my diet and all that kind of stuff, I think it is important for you to know what kind of a lifestyle I had before that. I allowed myself to eat every single thing that I wanted. I really didn't limit myself to anything except when it came to dairy products, because several months ago already I discovered that I am lactose intolerant. I had to cut off very many dairy products from my menu, but that wasn't really a big deal for me because I had already started cutting out some of the products from my menu, mainly because I could feel that they upset my stomach and I didn't feel good after eating them. But besides that, I basically had everything that I wanted. My favorites were pastas. I love to eat pastas, and I also ate quite a lot of fast food as well. I kind of got into the sort of routine where I didn't feel like cooking. I just couldn't be bothered. So more often than not, I ended up in McDonald's, or we have something called Hesburger here, which I'm sure if you are someone from the States or anywhere outside of the Scandinavian area, I'm sure you have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's the same as like McDonald's or any other kind of burger joint. I almost never had breakfast because normally when I woke up, I wasn't really hungry. I just prefer to sleep in longer, grab a coffee, start getting ready, and then run out the door. When it came to coffee, I used to have like 2 to 3 lattes a day at least. That was like the minimum. Even though lattes are not as bad as like espresso shots, lattes are like the mildest version of coffee that you can drink. But even then, I still could feel that I had so many of those. It wasn't probably too good for me. Also, I never really wanted to drink water because I couldn't stand the taste of it. I always had to have either juices or iced tea or something like that. And I know that some people are going to say, are you nuts? Like, water doesn't taste like anything. But to me, I really didn't like the taste, so I always went for juice or, as I said, iced tea or anything like that. Also, I used to overeat massively. That was like a huge thing for me. I would always eat so much, and by the time I was done, I would feel like my stomach was about to explode. I would be super tired. It feels super heavy. I couldn't do anything about it either. I just always did that every single time I ate. I don't know why. And after having a meal, even if I was this full of food that I was about to like throw up literally, I always had room for dessert. It was a must. Every single time I finished a meal, I'd have to have something sweet at the end. Otherwise, I'd feel that the meal was like half satisfactory, like I only had half a meal. And the worst thing was that if I didn't get something sweet, it would have the weirdest effect on me. I would get cranky. I would snap at people just because I was in a bad mood, and all of that resulted from having sugar cravings, which I couldn't fulfill. So yeah, all in all, it was a really, really bad diet. Not healthy in any single way. Now, even though I wasn't eating the most healthy, I still pushed myself to work out and exercise every now and again. I would go to the gym, I would go jogging in the woods. So I tried to compensate my bad eating with exercise, and it did work. Don't get me wrong, exercise really did help as well, but it would never last. And there were so many times when I fell off the wagon again and I'd get back to not really exercising all that much and still eating whatever I wanted, and then I would be at the point where I'd say, from Monday I'm going to get in shape, I'm going to start exercising again, start eating more healthy, and I cannot even count how many times I said that. So it was like this never-ending circle. I would make a promise, I would start doing something, but then at one point I either didn't care anymore, you know, I just kind of lost interest in it. Something would come up, I'd have to go on holiday, and it's not easy to keep yourself on track when you're traveling because, you know, the food is different and you want to enjoy yourself as well. There was always something that would mess up my plan and I would be back in point zero basically. And due to that, I had so many issues. I mean, I wasn't happy with the way that my body was looking. I wasn't happy with the way that my skin was looking. My overall feeling wasn't the best, but I was just kind of too lazy to do anything about it. I do have to put it out there that I wasn't like extremely overweight or anything like that. I just had some extra kilos to spare, which I weren't happy with. I think I weighed around 71 to 72 kilos at the time, which is about 156 or 158 pounds, which isn't really the worst because I am quite tall. Not really tall, but I think above average. I'm 175 centimeters, which I believe is like 5'9". So it really isn't the worst if you're like 71, 72 kilos, but still, it isn't ideal either, and I wasn't really happy with it. So now you have a general idea of what I was like before starting the diet. One of the main reasons actually why I even started reading about the diet in the first place was because I had issues with my eyes, which still hasn't completely gone away, by the way, but they have gotten a lot better. I have something called blepharitis. My eyes they would itch and they would be really red and they would be flaky, and at times they would swell up massively, and I just really didn't know what was causing it. I went to see several doctors and no one really knew how to help me. So I started reading about it online as much as I could, and I found this post that was written by a girl in a random forum. I can't even remember which one it was anymore, but she was talking about having had blepharitis at one point and how she eventually discovered that it was tied with having a candida overgrowth. She said that she got rid of the whole blepharitis thing with just fixing up her eating, and her other health issues went away as well. And that really intrigued me because at that point I hadn't really considered that my eating was maybe causing a lot of my issues. I really wanted to get better overall, and that was actually what was my main goal, not to even lose weight. It wasn't really even a choice. I felt that I had to do it. I had to at least try and see if maybe this would be the answer to my issues as well. That was the ultimate motivation for me. Even though I read a lot about the diet itself, I didn't really read all that much about what you should do before starting the diet and how you should prepare your body. And that is something that really messed me up, and that was my downfall, so to say. If you are not familiar with the Candida diet, it means that you have to cut out sugar, wheat or white flour, alcohol and caffeine. I cut all of those things out from day one, and I shouldn't really have done that. I started with a detox because I read that it was a very good way to just cleanse your body and get rid of those toxins and bad ingredients that might still be left in your body from eating all kinds of rubbish. The detox is similar to the diet itself, but it's even more strict, like 10 times more strict. You are meant to just eat greens and veggies and like drink water or tea or something like that, and that's basically it. It started off not that bad. The first day was really okay. I ate like salads and steamed veggies. I drank a lot of water. So I did all of that and it was fine. But by day 2, I wasn't feeling that great anymore. I wasn't really in a good mood. I felt hungry all the time. This constant empty feeling in the stomach and constant craving for something filling and something sweet and something delicious. It really drove me nuts. I was also exhausted even though I hadn't done anything. It almost felt like just walking around, and being alive was exhausting. And by day 3, it was a nightmare. I had slept about a couple of hours and I woke up in the middle of the night with the most severe joint ache that I have ever felt in my life. I really hadn't even experienced joint ache. Whatever position I turned myself in, it was such excruciating pain that I couldn't sleep. Like, my knees would ache tremendously. But the worst places were my knees and my elbows, and also my knuckles for some reason. It was just horrible. The pain was... I don't even want to think about it. It gives me the creeps when I think about it. So I was just tossing and turning throughout the night. And when I woke up in the morning, I will never forget, I woke up, I felt like I hadn't slept at all. And the only things that I could do was I could get up, I could go to the bathroom, I could go to the kitchen, I could turn the kettle on because I wanted to make some tea. And after turning on the kettle, I felt that, okay, I need to go and sit down right now. Otherwise, I'm going to collapse, and that'll be that. I went and sat down, and I seriously thought that I was going to die because I have never in my life felt that bad. My heart was racing like crazy. I was so dizzy and hazy that I cannot even describe it to you guys. My head was spinning even though I was sitting, and I just felt so nauseous. All in all, it was horrible. I really did feel like if I hadn't sat down, I'm 100% sure I would have fainted. I would have collapsed right then and there. All I could do was just sit there and wait and hope that I was going to get better. I waited for a while, not doing anything, just staying still because I was terrified of moving. But after a few hours, I managed to move around a bit again and at least get some food from the fridge. That wasn't even the worst part. The worst part, besides feeling incredibly crappy physically, I felt so drained emotionally. I cannot even tell you guys. I don't think I have ever felt that way in my life, but I'm pretty sure that it comes close to people who suffer from depression. I felt so apathetic towards everything. I didn't care about any single thing. It felt like this endless just darkness, like numbness, not feeling anything really. It's the most bizarre thing. Every single time someone would talk to me or they would message me, I would really not care. I couldn't even really be bothered to answer anyone. I couldn't really be bothered to react in any single way. When my family members would talk to me, they would make a joke. I didn't even have the energy, didn't even want to laugh or smile or do anything. I was just staring. It feels like you're in this deep black hole that you cannot get out of. Like there's no hope, there's no happiness, there's nothing basically. You're just in like this huge void. I don't know, it was the weirdest and the most horrific feeling I have ever had. At that point, my family members just said that you need to stop, you need to quit with this diet thing, you have to stop because this is really unhealthy. I knew that I needed to stop and I knew that I couldn't go on like that. But at the same time, I didn't want to feel like I had failed. So I started reading more about just starting with the diet, how you should really do it. And that's where I discovered that before doing the detox or anything, you really should give your body time to adjust and kind of get used to the whole thing and get used to the new regime. So what you want to do is you want to ease your body slowly into it, and for a couple of weeks before starting with the detox or with the diet, you just want to start taking some specific products out of your menu one by one rather than cutting everything off from day one, because that will lead your body to go into shock. And that's exactly what happened to me. I felt so stupid after having read that, because I just thought, like, how on earth did I not think about that myself? Like, how did it not occur to me that my body would just freak out after having eaten the same way for years and years and years? Thankfully, that kind of also made me change my mind and have that other way of thinking, not in the sense that, okay, I have failed, but I thought of it more like, okay, I went about it the wrong way. I need to, take a few steps back and figure this whole thing out again and start with a more precise plan. The first thing I did was just go back to eating everything again. And I also started taking magnesium because a relative of mine said that that would help with the joint aches. I just tried to kind of get my body out of shock and, you know, go back to the more stable diet that it was used to for so many years. And I think after about 4 to 5 days, I started feeling normal again. I don't know, I still felt weak at times, but I could at least leave the house and I was feeling more social again. But then I was kind of put off from the diet as a whole. I was scared that I was going to end up back in that place where nothing made me feel anything anymore. I never ever wanted to be back in that place ever again. I needed a lot of support from my family and my close friends. So eventually I got over the fear and I decided to take it really with like baby steps. So before doing anything, the first thing that I did was I took a diary and I decided to start writing down everything I eat every single day, everything I drink every single day, and how I would feel, especially like highlights. If I would feel really good or if I would feel bad, I would write them down. And that is something that I really recommend you do as well if you are thinking of starting a diet or just regulating your eating, because that really keeps you on track, so to say. I didn't really drink too much alcohol to begin with, so that was an easy thing to cut out, so to say. So in the sense of really cutting things out that I had on a regular basis, the first thing to go was anything sweet, anything that had, you know, really huge amounts of sugar in them. So that would mean chocolates and cakes and biscuits and juices, because those have a lot of sugar in them as well. Next on the list was anything that had wheat or white flour in it. So I cut out white bread, any kind of pastries, macaroni, etc, etc. I was heartbroken to let pasta go, but I had to do it. After that, I started decreasing the amount of coffee that I drank. So I would have 1 latte a day, and over time I would have like 1 latte every other day, and then eventually I just stopped having coffee altogether. The last things to go were fruits and anything kind of store-made, so to say, all kinds of like ready meals, sauces, anything really that had a lot of added sugar in them. So that is what I did for about 2 weeks, just gradually taking these products out that I knew that I shouldn't really eat and substituting them with something more healthy. So now we get to the part where I actually started the diet itself. I followed the list of foods to eat and foods to avoid very carefully. I will leave the website down below, but it's basically one of the first ones that pop up if you search Candida Diet. They have these lists of foods to eat, foods to avoid, and sort of maybe foods. So the maybe foods are something that you're meant to reintroduce into your diet once you have already been doing the diet for a while and once you start feeling better. But in the beginning stage of the diet, you should really stick to foods to eat and leave everything out which is in the foods to avoid list. So I followed that list. I was mainly focusing on eating a lot of greens, a lot of veggies, a lot of nuts and seeds, healthy oils, healthy fats, healthy proteins and carbs. I also started drinking a lot of water, which I had to force myself into initially because, as I said, I wasn't really a fan of the taste of water and I couldn't drink all that much of it. As I went along with the diet, I kind of got used to it more and more, and I also I actually started liking water. So now it's like one of my favorite things to drink. Every single time I'm thirsty, I never think about any kind of juices or anything like that anymore. My mind always goes to like, okay, I want to drink some water. So it's just funny how these things work. I would not just have regular water, I would put ginger in it. So that is also something that I would really recommend doing, just because it tastes great as well and it's really good for you. So just something as simple as that, just cutting up a bit of ginger, the ginger roots, cut a bit of that up and put it in just regular tap water. And it tastes really good, and it's also really good for you because it has natural antifungal properties in it. To substitute my sort of thirst for coffee and lattes, I started drinking a lot of herbal teas. So I drink a lot of chamomile tea, peppermint, rosehip. Those were like 3 of my favorites. They are also naturally caffeine free. And I started using a lot of coconut oil and coconut milk in my food and cooking. I would always make sure to have a nutritious breakfast in the morning, which normally means having eggs in any which way, or for instance buckwheat porridge as well. It's one of my favorites to have with a bit of butter. Then it's always crucial to have a filling lunch, like a very filling lunch that would keep you full until dinner, basically. Either chicken or fish. Well, in my case, it's always salmon because that is the only kind of fish that I like to eat. And having some veggies on the side, but I never ever had potatoes because I cut out all kinds of starchy vegetables as well. Then in between lunch and dinner, I would always have some kind of quick snack. It would be either nuts or olives or something like that. And then for dinner, it would be, again, something filling, but a smaller portion than I would have for lunch. Depending on how hungry I was, I would have something lighter like soup or salad, or if I felt slightly more hungry, I would have, again, some kind of protein like, you know, meat and veggies or something, but just a smaller portion than I had for lunch. As a part of the diet, I gave up on all kinds of grains for a while, as well as potatoes and any kind of starchy vegetables, as I already said. And again, I didn't really eat all that many dairy products to begin with, except sour cream and butter, which I had every now and again. And I also started buying meat and free-range eggs from the market only, because that way I really know where my meat is coming from. I did that extremely strict diet for about a month or so, maybe like 5 weeks, and I never let myself have any cheat days. So by the time the sort of 4 weeks, 5 weeks mark had passed, I already started noticing huge differences in the way that I looked and the way that I felt. I think at that time I had already lost about 5 to 6 kilos, which is that many pounds. And every time I ate, I had that good full feeling. That feeling that I'm full, I don't need to eat anymore, but I don't feel sick. You know, I don't feel like I have overdone it and that I need to lie down and rest for a bit. Had much more energy. I could wake up more easily in the mornings. I didn't have the need to like snooze for a bit in the mornings anymore. Normally, I'd always want to like just lie down for a few more minutes. I never wake up during the nights anymore. Before the diet, I would sometimes have these more shallow dreams where every single little teeny tiny noise would wake me up, and you could just feel that you're not in like deep sleep. It almost felt like a nap, you know, not really a proper rest. After the diet, never had that issue again, which is also a huge thing with helping my moods and my energy levels and all that kind of stuff. My moods were so much more stable. I felt much more happy, even when there really wasn't anything to be that happy about. It was just regular days, you know, but I felt happy, I felt content, which was a kind of a new thing for me. Normally I was used to having like, you know, those good days and those bad days, those, you know, random days where you just feel like just crappy for no good reason. Now I very rarely have those. I just, in general, I felt so much better, and some of the health issues that I was having also went away. My skin got a lot better, even though it's still not perfect, it got a lot better. And miraculously, I stopped having these cravings for something sweet. You could eat a whole bar of chocolate in front of me and I wouldn't even be tempted to have a piece. And that would have never happened in the past. Every single time I saw something sweet around me, I needed to have that. If I saw those beautiful, delicious, chocolatey and whatever kind of cheesecakes, I would start salivating right there. Now, I go to restaurants and I look at these cakes, and even if I smell the delicious scent of like freshly baked bread or something like that, or just chocolate, all those kinds of smells, they're really, really good still, but I don't get that feeling anymore that I need to have them. I just don't. And it feels so liberating. And of course, it was a huge bonus that my loved ones kept complimenting me on how good I look and how much weight I've lost. After I felt that the diet had already had a huge positive impact on me, started easing up on the diet a bit, I got more lenient towards myself. That's when I turned to the maybe list of foods to start reintroducing them back into my diet. I started eating rice again. Usually I have either wild rice or basmati rice. I brought back potatoes and I started eating sweet potatoes as well. I started eating bread again, but only a very specific kind of bread. It is a full grain rye bread with no yeast or wheat in it, so it is strictly healthy, so to say. I also started allowing myself to eat more of the store-bought things again. For instance, like one of my huge favorites is pesto sauce. It's just so much easier and cheaper to buy from the store, but I always go for the option which has the least amount of sugar in it. I also started eating fruit and berries again, but not every single day, only every once in a while. So that is roughly in general what I brought back into my diet. After that, my weight still dropped, but it dropped a lot more slowly, and it stopped at around the 62 kilo mark, which is roughly 136 pounds. I'm just happy that my weight has stabilized now and it hasn't dropped below that point. So now getting to the point where I am at the moment with my diet, I am still on a no wheat and no sugar regime during the week, but on weekends, those are basically my cheat days. Those are the days that I let myself have everything I want, but within reason. For instance, every now and again, I allow myself I don't know, a few glasses of white wine, or maybe I have an odd pizza or pasta. For instance, I had my first pizza within like, I don't know, months last weekend, and it felt good, but now I won't have another pizza for several weeks again, you know? So I am kind of trying to still keep myself in line whilst allowing myself to have treats every now and again. But I am back on coffee. I do drink lattes every single day now again, but I mostly only have one a day. Of course, the lattes are with lactose-free milk, and I always have the mildest option of the espresso shot possible, because even the normal espresso shot now is way too strong for me. So I have gone much more lenient in my diet, but it hasn't really affected my weight or the way that I feel. I think my cooking skills have improved a lot because I keep testing out new recipes and just trying new foods that I maybe didn't even think of incorporating in my eating before. And also during the weekends, I love to bake these sugar-free goodies. I only use natural sweeteners, for instance, stevia, or I use fruits and berries. All in all, I have to say that I'm really, really happy with my diet at the moment as well. I know it is incredibly difficult. At first, it was so hard to get into the diet and to, you know, stick to it. But now it doesn't even feel like a diet anymore. It's not something that I feel that I have to do for a while, and then after I have accomplished something, I can go back to like the way things normally were, because this has become my lifestyle now. This is what's normal to me. Now when I look back at it, I don't even know how I could manage to suffer through everything for so long. Just that general uncomfortable feeling really heavy and full and tired and exhausted, constantly craving something that you're not really supposed to eat. I don't even know how I did that for such a long time. I really don't. I am so ecstatic that I decided to start the journey in the first place, and I am definitely going to keep doing what I'm doing and I will never go back to the way that I was eating before. That is my story. I hope it wasn't too boring and that it wasn't too long. Knowing myself, I'm guessing it probably is pretty long. All I want to say to you, yes, you, who you are watching this video and who you are maybe thinking about trying to get into that sort of routine and trying to, you know, pick yourself up and do something good, change yourself towards the better. I know how difficult this is to give up on the things that you love eating, the things that bring you comfort and, you know, that make you feel good for a time. I absolutely understand the feeling, but trust me when I say the feeling of being happy with yourself and feeling great and having energy and having just like a good mood and all those kinds of things, they are so much better, and you'll be so proud of yourself for having accomplished something and for having overcome those urges to treat yourself to something that you really shouldn't eat. It really does feel amazing. So I highly recommend. It doesn't even have to be that radical. You don't have to quit everything. Even doing what I did before starting the diet, just taking some of the products out that you really don't need to eat, it does help. So yeah, that's all I want to leave you guys with. I'm really sorry that I don't have that many pictures to share with you of like before and after. I hope that those pictures that I included in the video helped in one way or another, and that what I was saying helped you in one way or another. And if you are thinking of doing the diet or starting something similar, then at least I hope that maybe my journey helps you avoid the mistakes that I made. Those are my thoughts. I'm sure that you guys have been sitting here with me for 40 minutes already. So all I'm going to say is Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the story time, and if you want me to do more story times, well, God knows on what, but we'll figure something out. If you want me to do more storytime videos, then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. My stomach just rumbled. I need to eat something. Okay, that's my cue. So I will see you guys hopefully in my next video. Bye!